going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your July 29th AEW Collision review. Few quick points to note for programming purposes. If you are listening to this Sunday morning when it drops, you'll know that NXT Great American Bash is tonight. If you want to get my thoughts on that show, my preview for that show, if you want to know why I think Baron Corbin and Gable Steveson should be the match of the night, if you want to know why I think Tony D and Stacks should join the Judgment Day, and if you want to know, figure this one out, why there's a marshmallow in the egg carton, go back one pod, watch it this morning so you can watch Great American Bash later on tonight. Also, because the weekend has kind of gotten away from me a little bit, we did do Great American Bash. We're doing this right now, and I'll probably do a review for the Bash tomorrow night. There's not going to be an episode of WWE Last Week this week, but we will, this coming Friday, be talking about SummerSlam and all the stuff that's going into that, because there's a lot to go over before we go to SummerSlam. So be sure to check out all of that, and please excuse me for skipping an episode of WWE Last Week this week, and because there's a pay-per-view, I'll be skipping WWE Last Week next week as well. Let's get into AEW. I'm really tired. And I'm kind of congested, which is part of what's taken my weekend away. So if you'll excuse that, we will carry on. Started off with the shouty promos, as we typically get on Collision, and it's MJF and Cole versus FTR, which is the main event for this evening. But it's also Darby Allin, and here's the thing that makes me laugh right off the bat. I don't get AEW Collision, much like I don't get AEW Rampage, on a proper channel up here in Canada. I mean, AEW is carried by TSN, and we get what's called Dynamite on TSN, but we don't get Collision or Rampage on TSN. We get the TSN streaming branch, which is a little bit weird. And it's weird as to when it cuts in and when it cuts out. I've gotten several episodes of Collision where it's gone off the air, but the sound has still been going. So whoever has addressed the crowd after the show was over was heard. This week, when I tuned in I always tune in like a minute or so early, just to make sure the stream's not shit, because sometimes the stream is shit. And I heard Tony Khan announcing the live crowd. He's like, "You don't know this, nobody knows this, but somebody's here tonight and they're looking for a fight, and that's superstar Darby Allin." And then immediately we cut to the shouty promos, and there's Darby Allin saying he's looking for a fight. He's pissed off about what happened to his protege. He's pissed off what's going on with AR Fox. He's pissed off what's going on with Swerve Strickland, and he just came to Collision looking for a fight, which is pretty damn simple. And I mean, MJF, Cole, and FTR shouting down the camera about their main event is good. I like the shouty promos at the beginning of the show. I really do. We didn't get a shouty promo about Buddy Matthews versus Andrade, because that was our first match. The other, I guess you would say, drawing match of the evening, other than the tag team championship match, was the ladder match between Buddy Matthews and Andrade for Andrade's mask. Julia Hart is out at ringside. They go out of their way to tell us on commentary that Julia Hart has a manager's license, which is why she's able to be at ringside. Brody King and Malachi Black have been barred from ringside. There's more signs in the crowd about how Buddy Matthews has lost his girlfriend to Dominic Mysterio, which is awesome. Apparently, it's going around Twitter, and people are being really weird about it. Dominic Mysterio, like, the big news about Dominic Mysterio this weekend is he got a Volano tattoo on his neck. And I mean, there are other people in wrestling with weirder tattoos on their neck. Just saying. But like I say, Julia Hart's at ringside. Different gear for Andrade. Sort of a black, I don't know what you call it. It's what Rey Mysterio wears these days. It's like the tights, but they're like the tights and the tank top one piece bit. I don't know. I don't know whether the new gear is supposed to mean something or not. Heavy strikes from both men to start a moonsault off of halfway up the ladder by Andrade to the floor. Catapult of the ladder off of the bottom rope into Buddy's face. The ref puts Buddy's shoulder back into place during the commercial break, is what they said to us when they came back. Somebody can please tell me what happened there. Somebody who was watching picture-in-picture. Andrade is slammed onto a ladder bridge. They trade some knee strikes in the ring, and then Andrade goes for his spear through the ropes, and it's turned into a DDT on the other ladder bridge on the other side of the ring. I should say, The first ladder bridge was from the ring apron to the commentator's table. The second ladder bridge was on the opposite side of the ring from the bottom rope to another standing ladder. Both men are on the top of the ladder on the outside. There's a sunset flip powerbomb over the ladder, onto the ladder bridge on Buddy by Andrade. And because the ladder wasn't bridged on the apron itself, because it was on the bottom rope, there was some give, which meant there wasn't enough impact to break the ladder, which means the fall on the ladder was actually heavier. Thought that was a nice, neat little touch. Andrade gets handcuffed, but he gets the key from Julia after somehow booting a chair into Buddy's face, and he... I don't know what he does. He does some hand magic, I guess you could say, as they both struggle for the key and they both struggle for the cup. And he cuffs Buddy and chucks the key into the crowd. Nigel McGuinness on commentary shouting that somebody needs to go get that key back. Somebody in the crowd needs to be a good person to bring the key back. Julia attacks Andrade, jumps on his backpack style while Buddy tries to manipulate the bolt cutters with one hand. Cuff. Andrade tosses Julia off of the top of the ladder into Buddy through a table, wins his mask back. I haven't done this match any justice at all. Please go back and check it out if you haven't. This was really good. I wanted this to measure up, and they're not the same kind of wrestler, but I wanted Andrade versus Buddy to match up to the matches that Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black had in that dead period of Raw. And I think this did a pretty good job of doing that. He looked a little more intense than usual. A lot of people are saying that Roosh, who just recently re-signed with AEW, is going to be over on Collision helping him with the House of Black. Now, there's a couple good things that could go with that. I mean, House of Black is on Collision. Malachi Black actually said in interviews that he wants to be specific to Collision. I don't know whether Andrade is the same. Roosh and Andrade have a history. But also, CM Punk has apparently been really vocal about wanting Roosh to be a quote-unquote collider. So that's all good. Andrade gets his mask back. I do think it would have been kind of cool, or interesting at least, for the House of Black to get proper possession of that match, because they make all of their sort of really cool, like, heavy metal goth entrances with masks on or face paint of some degree. For one of them to just wear the lucha mask to the ring as like that extra layer of disrespect would have been a nice, neat little touch. That being said, I want to switch gears to WWE just quickly. For those of you that saw the Santos Escobar versus Rey Mysterio match and how he took the sort of the hard fall on the outside of the ring, they stopped the match, and apparently he's got some undisclosed injury, so throw him on the list with Kevin Owens and Liv Morgan. Let's just hope everybody that's injured is soon not injured. It's not that hard to be decent. Andrade wins his mask back. It's a nice little way to round out the story. I guess they're not gonna put Roosh with him or somebody else with him to make this a trios match, but it's what would it be? It would be Andrade, Roosh, and Preston Vance going after the House of Black. But everybody's, I mean, not everybody, but it seems like the majority of people that watch Collision seem to be getting behind Andrade, and House of Black are just the spooky group. I mean, you can like them, you can hate them, you can cheer them, you can boo them. But out of the two, Andrade is the wrong done by party. He's the one that had his property stolen, so he's the babyface. Roosh has never really been a babyface, and I mean, Preston Vance became Preston Vance when he decided not to be 10 anymore, and he punked out a kid. So that doesn't really work at all. Now, I say that. There's a tag team in the main event that we're going to talk about later on that's made up of one face and one heel, so I maybe don't know what I'm talking about. In the back, this just made me laugh a lot. Tony Schiavone is in the back getting ready to interview Miro about, something big and drastic and dark is coming, a new battle is coming our way. Tony Schiavone wanted to ask him about that when Aaron Solo, of all people, tried to attack Miro. Two predictable results, let's just say. Darby Allin comes out, and the whole thing is come back after the commercial break to see who who got set up for Darby Allin tonight, and it's Minoru Suzuki. Okay, as you guys know, my knowledge of guys like Minoru Suzuki and other guys from New Japan is quite limited. I do like what I've seen, and the guy's kind of crazy, and he has that that entrance that people like to sing the one little bit of, and I'm gonna mess this up because I don't know how to pronounce anything, but it's the Kazenina Re. Maybe somebody tell me down in the box below. Would be a great excuse for you to drop a comment in the comment section if you're watching or listening to this in a place that has a comment section. If not, hit me up on Twitter at SpazPhoenix. Darby Allin gets the action off to a good start. I don't want to say gets the match off to a good start. I'll get to that in a second. Gets the action off to a good start by hitting him basically with two suicide dives in a row, one feet first, one head first, and he sets him down in a chair, beats him up with a chair, and then drop kicks him out of the chair. Then they get back in the ring, then the referee rings the bell, because then the match actually starts. Pissed off Darby Allin, venting out all of his frustrations over various things, and he's venting with his fists, and it shows, and it was, you know, for how much you can say this when it's pro wrestling, it was very believable. Suzuki finally gets back to his feet and gets his wits about him again. It becomes a little bit more of a fair fight. Big knees, heavy strikes, working the leg of Darby Allin. Minoru Suzuki gets a towel at some point and hangs Darby Allin over the top rope, you know, sort of like noose style, hangman style, if you will. And the referee starts to count. And this is where I question it. This is just me. This is not me saying that AEW is right or wrong. I don't think you just do a simple count, because a count in the ropes is like, say you have somebody in an ankle lock and they grab the rope to break the hold, they have a 5 count to break it. You don't have a 5 count to break hanging somebody with an inanimate object. I think that's a little out of the realm, but that's just me. They have a chop battle in which Minoru Suzuki, let's just be real for a second, chops the soul out of Darby Allin. And how Darby Allin comes back with a series of strikes and headbutts that turns into a roll-up reversal sequence, and then they continue on the match as we go, and at a certain point, Darby Allin he comes off of the middle rope for a sort of a modified, they didn't really give it another name, they just called it a modified coffin drop, and then he goes up to the top rope, quote-unquote, for the real thing. He goes for the coffin drop, and he lands right in a sleeper by Minoru Suzuki, but he quickly manages to shift his weight and turn it into a roll-up for the win. Darby Allin gets a pretty significant win on his ledger there. And then post-match, Christian and Luchasaurus taunt him from the Tron, talking about what a loser he is and how he's no longer worthy of a TNT title shot, which he definitely already has. And then they specified on commentary, and I didn't know this, sorry, they specified that his title shot for the TNT Championship is at All Out, not All In. Samoa Joe takes on Gravity, and I have 2 notes for this match. I have 2 notes that take up 1 line of my clipboard here, and it says, Gravity is goofy, Joe kills him, LOL. And that's basically all it is. I don't like the whole space thing. I think they literally just brought him onto Dynamite so that he could fight the former Adrian Neville, just so that Adrian Neville can be the guy that Gravity didn't forget anymore. And they beat that joke over the head at the ROH show. They didn't need to do it on Dynamite, and I didn't need this on my show this week. So yeah, there's my 1 note. Gravity is goofy, Joe killed him, LOL. Tony Schiavone calls out CM Punk for an interview, and he brings the bag. He's got a CM Punk I'm a Collision Guy t-shirt, which is great. Tony Schiavone says, you know, what's going on with him right now? 2 main things. What's in the bag? What's going on with you and Starks? And he says there's a lot of things going on in AEW, and then he corrects himself. He says there's a lot of things going on Collision, a lot of things that nobody else wants to talk about. So who's going to talk about it? None other than CM Punk. Why don't we talk about Wembley? Why don't we talk about the big question on everybody's mind? Is CM Punk going to jolly old England? And he says, maybe we'll know by the end of the night. He says, you know what? When you take responsibility, when you're somebody like me, you literally get left holding the bag, and that's not a load that I want to carry. I'm the guy that's here to tell the truth, and the truth doesn't care about being nice. Lifts up the bag, pulls out the AEW championship, says, I'm the real champion. My blood is still on this belt from the night that I beat Mox, and nobody has beaten me. And he says, my name is on this title, which it is. It's got a nameplate on it that says CM Punk. My name is on this title, my blood is on this title, and now my symbol is on this title. Puts it on the ground, puts the big straight edge X on it. He says, you know, I don't steal catchphrases like other people. I'm straight edge, and straight edge means I'm better than you. I'm the real world champion, and the real world champion belongs here on Collision. I think that's so fucking good. We're going in a direction with this now, and I smiled. I smiled a lot. CM Punk, the real AEW world champion with his straight edge belt, and I mean, yeah, it's a little bit NWO, and it's a little bit CM Punk beats John Cena and then comes back with the belt after John Cena wins a fake belt. But I do like the whole, he laid it out very simply. He was very blunt on the microphone, as he always is. I beat Mox, and nobody beat me. I mean, it's kind of interesting that he happened to do this on an episode of Collision that was going to have MJF on it, but we'll get to that later. He's then interrupted by Ricky Starks, who comes out and says, no, somebody like me deserves a proper entrance. He yells at the guy in the sound truck, goes to the back and says, all right, guys, I'm going to do this properly now. I'm going to get the entrance that I deserve, and now you just pretend that I wasn't already here, which is fine. He comes out, he calls himself the face of Collision, talks about the fact that he's beaten CM Punk twice. CM Punk reiterates what he said last week, which was brilliant. He said, I don't mind the L, can you take the W? I'm kind of pissed off that you cheated to beat Darby Allin. That's really shitty for him, whatever the case may be. Starks calls himself the face of Collision, says he should be the champion of Collision, the belt is yours, and I deserve a title shot. CM Punk kind of agrees, kind of laughs it off, and he says, you know what, I don't blame you or myself, I blame the referees, they have a hard job, etc., etc., etc. If you want a shot at my championship, I want a special referee. But he accepts the challenge, and he gets Tony Schiavone to make it official that next week, and they even said it on the graphic, and I love the way that this is phrased, next week, for the real world championship, it's CM Punk versus Ricky Starks with special guest referee Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. So much good about this. Immediately. He's put Wembley in people's heads. He's created the idea of a second championship, which hints towards him and MJF, which means it may or may not be him and MJF fighting at Wembley in front of 80-something thousand people. And I'm sorry, if it happens, that's the match you're selling tickets on. Up until this point, you've been buying tickets for the initials, which is exactly the same stick that people like to beat WWE with. So, up until now, there's no matches announced. It's kind of like when they were a t-shirt company, but be that as it may. Up until now, you've been selling tickets based on the initials, which is fine. If people are buying that many tickets just to see a show with the initials AEW on it, good for them. Whoever buys tickets from now going forward is because you are getting a, what do you want to say, an undisputed AEW World Championship match in front of 80-something thousand people in Wembley Stadium over in the UK, which is also fine. He's taken his shot. He's taken his shot at MJF without really taking a shot, just by making the graphic itself say the real world champion as opposed to the AEW champion, because that kind of also implies that there's AEW and then there's real, which I also kind of like. He's not leaving in the dust this feud that he's got going on with Ricky Stark. Okay, cool. You want a shot at me? You want a shot at the real world champion? Cool. We're going to do that on my terms. I'm picking the referee. The referee is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Now, where my knowledge falls down is apparently this is a callback to something in ROH between him and Bryan Danielson, and apparently one of their matches was refereed by Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I only know this because people are sharing the pictures of it on Twitter. I'm not claiming to have any further knowledge than that, because as you guys know, I don't watch ROH now, and I definitely didn't watch ROH back then. But this is a lot of fun. This is Punk with his belt that he never lost. It's good. It's really, really good. And I don't care how biased that makes me sound. I've admitted my biases every single day, every single minute I come to talk to you guys. I do not pretend to be unbiased. I will side with the people that I think have been the most fucked over. And in this case, that's CM Punk. And by saying that it's the real world title instead of the AEW world title, you're not only taking AEW off of that, you're taking the E of AEW off of that. And what does the E stand for? The E stands for Elite. So we'll take out the Elite and replace it with something real. Brilliant. Brilliant. The wrestling industry does not deserve CM Punk. That's all I'm saying. Now, switching from something so awesome to something a little bit of a bummer, in my personal opinion. It's Bullet Club Gold, represented by the Guns and Juice Robinson, taking on Team Jobber from last week, plus Vikingo. Now, a couple of things going on here. There's a real team in Bullet Club Gold taking on 3 singles guys. And here's the thing, I like Vikingo. The little bit that I've seen of Vikingo, his debut match against the almighty Kenny Omega was really, really good. I enjoy Vikingo. I will watch a Vikingo match. It'll be good. If you want to give me Vikingo versus Juice Robinson, I think that would be a hell of a match. But you stuck them with Team Jobber, Team Not Quite Top Flight, and what do I say? What did I say last week? I didn't care about Action Andretti and the hoodie salesman. I would much rather talk about Juice Robinson's neon green pants. This week, I do not care about Team Jobber that Vikingo got stuck with. I much rather talk about Bullet Club Gold coming out with a cardboard cutout of Jay White because he wasn't with them this week. I would much more rather focus on them being on the outside talking about how Jay White has 42 abs and Nigel McGuinness getting in on the joke on commentary and Bullet Club Gold clearly getting the win than anything else that happened in this match, because, I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago, and I know it wasn't the Guns. I know it wasn't the Guns. They are sort of the sidekicks of Juice Robinson and Jay White, so I'm not conflating the two. 2 weeks ago, part of this faction was involved in probably the best tag team match this year. And now they're mixing it up with this. Like I said, any one of them, either of the Guns or Vikingo want to have a match with, either of the Guns or Robinson want to have a match with Vikingo. If you want to bring Jay White back, have Jay White versus Vikingo. I would sign up for that any day of the week. But Team Jobber, Team Not Quite Top Flight, Team Action and the Hoodie Salesman, absolutely not. I don't want to waste any more time on this. Kira Hogan versus Mercedes Martinez. Mercedes Martinez is a badass, we all know this. Kira Hogan, I was first introduced to by Impact when she was in Fire and Flavor, when she was the better portion of that team, and for a long ass time I considered her to be the better version of Sasha Banks. Now I've got the better version of Sasha Banks versus a better Mercedes. How much more fun can I have with this? Speed versus Power, both of them look great. I haven't seen either one of them in a while. Apparently both of them have done stuff in ROH, but I'm not watching ROH. Mercedes gets the win with the, the Steel City stretch, whatever, holds it on way too long after the match is over. Statlander's out post-match to help her out, and then she gets attacked with her own belt by Mercedes, who's then saved by Willow. So you got Willow and Kira Hogan and Chris Statlander all standing tall, 3-on-1 against the dastardly heel. The booking of it was weird, but here's a bunch of people that I would love to see doing more. Chris Statlander's already got the title, and I would love to see her usher in a whole new slew of challengers, as she's already kind of doing. Give me Chris Statlander versus Kira Hogan. Give me Chris Statlander versus Mercedes Martinez. Give me Chris Statlander versus Willow, for reasons why not. Apparently, I've heard whispers that heading into All Out or All In, Athena, who's the current ROH Women's Champion, has been calling out Chris Statlander for a champion versus champion match. I'd really like that. I feel like the ROH Women's Championship is more of an anchor on Athena than a blessing or an accomplishment, because they don't do the same thing for her that they do for all the other ROH champions. Like, Claudio is featured on AEW. Samoa Joe is featured on AEW. Can't think of who the other champions are right now. Fuck me. At least one of the six-man champions is featured on AEW. I don't know what they did with the Pure title, so you'll have to excuse me on that one. But they just don't do the same for the women, because the women get one match a show, one match a week sometimes, which is really, really shitty. I will say, though, I did catch the ROH pay-per-view out of my own curiosity and through other means, shall we say. But the Athena versus Willow Nightingale match was fucking awesome and worth checking out. What's worth checking out? And man, it's showing how freaking tired I am. FTR versus Cole and MJF is your main event for the AEW Tag Team Championships. They come out in double clothesline t-shirts. There's a double clothesline FTR chant. MJF goes down pretty relatively early in the match with a fucked up ankle, like fake out. MJF and Dax Harwood slug it out because they've been teasing a personal issue. Apparently, like it was unearthed by the guys on What Culture that actually listened to the Dax Harwood podcast. I never did. Apparently it didn't last very long. And apparently he has real life issues with MJF, and that's kind of unfortunate because I like MJF and I like FTR. So I really don't know where to sit on that, I'm not going to lie. They were in a faction with him that was clearly built around him, so I don't know what you want me to say. They slug it out for a bit before all four guys are in the ring, and then all four guys brawl out of the ring. Really loud babyface pops for MJF, who even at various points in the match was like high-fiving kids in the crowd and whatever. Back in the ring, back to one-on-one. Cole goes really super crazy off of a hot tag. He takes on FTR one-on-two for a bit. Super kick out of midair by Cole, similar to how he's done to people like Ricochet in the past. Super kick pile driver combination by Cole and MJF. Superplex splash combination by FTR for a near fall. Dax and MJF square off once again, and things get super serious. 9,000. Shattered Dreams by MJF in the corner while the referee's not looking, because earlier on in the match there was a kick him, stomp his nuts chant, which I thought was really good. FTR are setting Adam Cole up for the Shatter Machine. MJF sacrifices himself, puts himself in the way, shoves Adam Cole out of the way of the Shatter Machine, manages to counter the Shatter Machine into an attempted Heat Seeker, but that gets reversed, and that's obviously not successful. He gets rolled up after the failed Heat Seeker for an FTR when Adam Cole, who has no problem with FTR, he shakes hands with both of them. They leave. They're sort of being braggadocious up the rampway. MJF is down in the corner screaming about how he blew it, and I blew it for both of us, and I failed, and I'm the reason we lost. And Adam Cole's there getting him a pep talk, goes out to the side of the ring, gets him his belt, and he says, "No, you didn't blow it. We blew it together. You're still the AEW champion." Hands him his belt. And here's the thing. I expected one of two things to happen. Either the predicted MJF turn on Adam Cole, which didn't happen, or MJF was going to be confronted by CM Punk, which didn't happen. The turn on Adam Cole was all set up to go, as Adam Cole was sort of like preening towards the fans, and MJF has his belt, and he's trying to psych himself up to do what he knows he needs to do, or what his instincts tell him to do, and that's hit Adam Cole. Even Adam Cole was even saying, it's like, I knew it was too good to be true, He closes his eyes. MJF drops the belt, they hug in the middle of the ring, and you think, okay, this is going to be a Shawn Michaels Jericho thing where they hug, and then there's a nut shot. That didn't happen either. They just sort of hugged each other and basked in all the crowd shit. And so then my mind goes the other way, and it's like, okay, we're going to get the CM Punk thing. We're going to get the CM Punk, John Cena with two matching titles staring off at each other. We're going to get that kind of moment. And that didn't happen either. And it was like, okay, so the MJF Adam Cole thing isn't going to last forever because Adam Cole has a title shot coming up. So we're prolonging that for another day. We're going to flog a couple more t-shirts. And CM Punk has a title defense next week on Collision. So we'll put off making the challenge between MJF and CM Punk because CM Punk is defending his real world title next week. So neither of the things... Well, look, sorry. I should go back. There are three things that could have happened. Better Than You, Baby could have become the tag team champions. That didn't happen. The other thing that didn't happen is Roddy Strong could have gotten involved in this because he's involved in the story as well. That didn't happen. MJF could have predictably turned on Adam Cole, and that didn't happen. CM Punk could have come out and challenged MJF, and that didn't happen. None of the things that could have happened in this match happened, And I'm okay with all of that because I know all of those things are coming down the pipe, if that makes sense. It'll be awesome when CM Punk does stand face-to-face with MJF for the first time, and they do have that face-off. Will we have gone so far with this, temporary babyface pops for MJF that CM Punk will be the one that gets booed? I mean, there are people out there, I call them wrong people, but people out there that think CM Punk is a bad guy and want to boo him anyway. So that'll be interesting if we've come so far out the other side that we're going to have a rematch of MJF versus CM Punk where CM Punk is the heel and MJF is somehow, by God, the babyface. That's kind of magical. I'm not going to lie. But for right now, MJF is your champion and CM Punk is your champion. Adam Cole doesn't lose anything by losing this match because whatever he does next will be awesome. I think what we're going to get is MJF, CM Punk for the undisputed AEW title at All In, and the winner of that will face Adam Cole for that title at All Out. That's my prediction coming out of here right now, and no matter what combination of that we get is going to be pretty fucking awesome. If we get a no contest at All In is first, right? Somebody correct me down in the box below. If we get a no contest at All In, and we get Adam Cole versus MJF versus CM Punk, I'm good. I might have to actually come out here and say that AEW's good. Right now, Collision's good. And Collision's good because of one guy. And that's the one guy that AEW tried to stomp into the ground. So it's, right now, anti-AEW is good. Like you said, a lot of things happening in AEW? No. A lot of things happening on Collision. With CM Punk, your real world championship. Anyways, I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. It's very tired in here. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all of these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tired. Bye.